Good evening. It's Lucy Ann. I wanted to ask you a question. Are you resisting or are you submitting? I thought about that today as I was working on some different projects. And sometimes when I get working and I'm in the middle of a project, I can get stuck and I keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And sometimes I just feel like I'm hitting my head up against a wall and I'm not getting anywhere. And when that happens, I've learned that I need to stop, surrender it, go do something else, and come back to it a little bit later or come back to it another day. And as I was thinking about that today, as I was working on a project, the Lord reminded me of a scenario, a story that happened to me a while back. I was in New Jersey visiting my parents. This was several years ago. And I was walking along the beach, and it was low tide, and there was lots of beach, lots of sand between the barriers and the water line. And so I was walking down by the water, headed towards the creek, which is the end of where my parents live, and there's fish and boats and a marina down there. So I often will walk down that way. And as I was walking down there, I saw a horseshoe crab stuck up towards the sand, way away from the water. Now, I don't know if you even know what a horseshoe crab is. They're not around every beach, but they're certainly inundated in the beaches in New Jersey. And they're interesting creatures because they have all these feet. If they're on their shell, they have this big shell with this long, wiry, like not wiry, like a long tail with these spikes that if you touch it, it hurts. And it's a really long tail and have all these feet underneath that go like this if you look at it from upside down. Well, this particular horseshoe crab was on its back and it was trying desperately to flip over. The tail was flapping back and forth, and the feet were going like this. And I was like, oh, if I could only get it to the water, it will be safe, because it was a ways away. And I knew if it stood there, it was going to die. So I thought if I could find something, because I knew better than to pick it up, because that tail would definitely sting and it would hurt. So I was looking for something that I could move it from where it was stuck at and get it down towards the water line. So I found a stick. It wasn't a big stick, but it was big enough. So I found the stick and I got behind the horseshoe crab and I started pushing it. And the more, every time I went to push it, the more it would resist me and it would swag its tail back and forth and its feet were going like this. And it was making it difficult for me to get it back towards the water. And my thought was, if you would just stay still for just a few minutes, I could have you to safety. And of course, horseshoe crab doesn't speak my language. So I just kept pushing and just saying, just stop resisting me and I will help you. And so I pushed it and finally got it to the water. And as soon as it got deep enough into the water, it flipped over and just swam away. And I was all happy that I saved this horseshoe crab. But in that moment, the Lord had me look back to where the crab was stuck. And so I looked that way and I saw this trail, and it was like this. It wasn't a straight line from the bunker down to the water. It was this real waggedy, straggedy line all the way down to the water. And in that moment, the Lord spoke to my spirit and said, that is what it's like when I'm trying to get you from one point to the next point. We're trying to get you unstuck to get you to where I need you to be or where you want to be. And when you resist me, it's so much harder for you to get the result that you want. And I was thinking about that today as I was pushing to try and get this assignment that I wanted to get done, completed, and it just wasn't happening. And I finally said, that's it. I'm just going to surrender it. I'm just going to let it go. And I came back to it later on in the day after I had decided to stop resisting, and the answers that I needed were there. So I'm asking you tonight, look back over your day, maybe over the last couple of weeks, and have you been resisting what God is trying to do in your life in this season, in this crisis that we find ourselves in this new normal that we're all trying to navigate? God is still speaking. He is still at work. His system, his kingdom has not shut down. He is still open for business, which means he's still wanting to get a message to you and I. If we would stop resisting, it would be much easier for us to receive. So, just as that horseshoe crab could have gotten to safety a whole lot sooner if he would have just stopped resisting me and let me push him, the line would have been one straight path all the way to the water and to safety. But instead, we took this curvy road. And when I look back and I saw that path and how far I had to travel to get him to safety, and when the Lord showed me that that's often how it is with me when God's trying to do something in my life, and I remembered that today. So I thought I would share that with you tonight. Hopefully that will be encouraging to someone tonight, that you might find yourself resisting, and perhaps God is saying to you tonight, just surrender it. Just submit it to me and trust my timing, trust my way of doing things. I know how to get you from point A to point B. I know how to get you through this new normal that we're all trying to navigate. If we would just stop resisting. So hopefully that's a blessing to someone tonight. I just wanted to share that story with you. Remember, God loves you, I love you, and you have a good evening. Sleep well. God bless you. Bye-bye.